Let's just hope it doesn't break down.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So
all good.
Alexis will have
It's all
meeting,
good.
first agenda item.
Get me out here, I'll walk.
What are some tangible things we can do to start to do a better job showcasing Vallejo as a place to go for entertainment? Do you want to share it? Do you want to like put any flavor on that, or you feel like that's about it?
Yeah. I feel like as the conversation started, we kind of get more into it. But yeah, I think that's a great basis. We just want to bring more entertainment and people to Vallejo. And outside of bringing people to Vallejo, we want to provide the people who are here, who love this city, with something to do, you know, in their spare days. I don't like having to travel to Oakland and San Francisco and Sacramento and LA to just enjoy time with my family and have something to do. So if there was something here, we would love that. And we have currently $0 in entertainment revenue coming into the city, but we have the fairgrounds and we have Empress Theatre, and you know, we have places that we should be having a thriving entertainment economy. It's $1 billion industry, but we're just kind of missing it. And I think having that really just opens the door for kids to have something to do and families to have something to do that we typically don't. Like right now, if a Saturday comes and it's a beautiful day outside and it's like, hey, what could we do at home? Nothing. You know, we can
I'm
go
sad to hear you
outside.
say that, because I threw 63 parties this year, but let's keep going.
Well,
I wanted to share that with you both because I thought, you know, in relation to this, it would be great if it is it public knowledge? Like, can we have a list of all the events that happen in the city of Vallejo? Because they all have to get a permit, right? So if they do a public event outside on any kind of street, you have that intel. If they rent a facility like the Empress, they don't get that intel because that's a private thing, right? But outside street parties, also the city sponsors a ton of them, so it gives people money to do them. And I wanted you to be exposed to that because it's flipping great. You know, the job I have is only 4 events a year, but the city still sponsors like tons of events.
But we're missing key demographics.
Yeah,
Our young
that's what I-
people.
when-
Our young folks aren't
when
coming
you
out.
Only old
said
people know
there's
this.
63 of them, I was going to tell you that's great, and we appreciate those, but they're not tailored to us all the time, or feel like something that we're interested in, or that we want to do. So we need something that encompasses everyone in different factions, not just certain groups or demos here, but something that's like, here's for you guys, for you guys, for you guys. This is one for everyone.
Yeah.
And then, you know, so out of those 63, I don't know how many came across my desk that I was like, I really, really want to take my daughter to see this one, you know? So just adding something. I feel like when more people from this city who grew up here are involved in that process, it allows the process to thrive a bit more, because we've been here our whole life and we know what we love and we like and who we hang out with, versus, you know, you're a bit older, Sherry.
I'm way older. Let's put it that. I own that, right?
So your idea of a fun event is going to be different from LaRussell's idea of a fun event, or 18-year-old Malachi's idea of a fun event.
Yeah. And we know we're missing that, and that's part of our youth initiative, is to get more youth voices involved. Working with Victoria Grace has been helpful, but that's more school-based. But from an entertainment perspective, there's more we need to be doing. So, okay.
Great.
Keep going, I'm sorry.
See,
it's
I
like,
knew it.
wait a minute, I'm so
That's what I'm
tired.
missing. It doesn't go, we definitely can tell the few events that we've had, it's an older demographic that keeps coming. Also, the event producers that know about the funding that's available are generally older too, because they've been doing it for so long. Where's the new event planners? Where are the young ones that want to throw events? Because if they don't know how, I'm willing to help 100%. And then we can go through the proper channels that are available already to have some funding. And one thing I wanted to reply on this note is having an event is expensive. It's not a free process. I know you know that. Not only paying the performer, but then all the overhead involved. So right before you got here, we were just talking about the Empress in specific. It seems to be one of the easier gets on your list because it comes with security, you know, it's like barricaded, it's got the bathrooms, it's got the power, the stage, sound, lights, seats, everything's there. All we really have to do is pay for it and the performer, right? And marketing, right? But when you don't go there and you go outside, like Waterfront Park, if it's free, great. It still costs like almost $100,000. It's a big park. You wanna do a lot of things and have a lot of stuff there, it costs money. The fencing all the way around it to secure it is ridiculous, you know, but hey, it's not impossible. I think it's a goal to work up to. I think 10,000 people can fit on that park. It's just gonna take time for us to be able to afford it, you know? And there was an article in today's paper that Dave shared with me, thank you, David, I read the entire thing from SF Gate about California suffering. Small independent promoters are suffering right now in the festival world because they're relying solely on ticket sales. And that's hard, you know, to get people to pay a lot of money. So then they rely on sponsors, and then they don't like sponsors or whatever. So anyway, I think there's almost like a little education 101 on throwing these events. I would like to help out, and I was telling the Empress, or Shelley, the Empress, is that in the old days, like the Fillmore and Warfield, we'd have marketing packages, and I could just hand you the package, and it would tell you everything about that venue, the size of this, from the size of the stage, where the dressing room is, how you load in and out, how you could use it multiple ways. You wanna have Mardi Gras in there, you wanna have, you know, whatever, all these different ideas, and it's called marketing package. And we think that Empress doesn't really even have one yet. So that might be something I can help them develop so that it's turnkey easier for people to rent it. And, but then I want to stop talking for a minute, let you guys talk about getting in there, cause that's your own thing, and I think it should be really easy for you to get in there.
So I've recently been talking with Darren back and forth from there, and like we're talking about bringing the residency to Empress at the top of the year for the first quarter, every Sunday from January to March.
Yes.
He's been getting back to me on that with a contract, so we have a call today on just kind of making that happen, and we've been going through the process and trying to make it a lot smoother than it has been historically for us, and the pricing and everything, because Empress it's also one of those things I had to tell them on pricing, like, we go all over the world for venues, and the amount they're charging per head for the small amount of cap is like way beyond what people charge in every other state and region, and I think it's because they're out of touch and out the loop on, you know, he told me it takes this amount to throw a show, but you know, historically for me, a show with only 300 people never takes that amount, so it's like, but we never get the details of like, why is these prices, especially people within the city that want to throw events. You know, we're in a city that doesn't have a thriving work economy, so if you outprice everyone, then even the locals can't build the buzz for the outsiders to come in and know there's a venue here because they can't afford it. So we're talking about that now, discussing that on trying to get a residency at the top of the year. He said they're getting a new sound system in, so for the remainder of the year they'll be down a bit, but once that changes, we are going to bring something there, and I think that's the first step. But even in terms of the event budget, I feel like we should find out ways to invest in infrastructure so we don't have to go to these places that cost $100,000. That's why we need a small cap, medium cap, large cap facility where we can do it all there instead of having to fence off an entire waterfront, because that's always going to be
It's silly.
expensive.
Silly.
If every time you spend $100,000 to fence off the thing.
You'll never be able to build. You'll never be able to build.
Right,
it
where the
up.
fairgrounds gives you a better opportunity because they have different size spots, right? And all the facilities there, it just seems to be medium to larger size.
Yeah, and they don't accommodate the
Parking
small
is so
end.
great. They don't do the small end.
Yeah.
I mean, they could. I guess you could, but why?
Yeah.
Well, what does the Empress cost to rent these days?
Regular was $3,500.
To rent,
Yes.
when, it's supposed to be 2,200,
Regular was 35.
1,400 for the people, and then 400 for the bar, and then, yeah, they were trying to charge, we were gonna do a show there for, September. It was $2,000 before July, after July it went up to 2,200 just to rent it. Then it's 1,400 to bring in the staff and the sound guy, and then another 400 to rent the bar. And then if you want the premium bar, the private one, it's $1,000 to rent that one.
And then you're paying to rent bar, but you don't get proceeds of bar, so it doesn't really make sense that I would have to fund the bar and not
Right.
get any amount of.
So that has to do with the
So it's
ABC
a-
license. Part of that is, I'm on the board of the Empress, so this is good information. I don't have the pricing structure.
Yeah.
I just got done reviewing the
We
contract.
just got a contract recently from my residency, and I've been talking to them about pricing and just kind of update them on, like, I go all over the world and I do much larger venues, and the price per head is never this high. Like, going over $10 per attendee, the price per head is like beyond.
What's
that.
your, like,
$10 a ticket?
no, like,
No,
per
$10.
person
So
who
per
walks in?
attendee, you know, like at 3,500, basically you're charging $10 an attendee. You know, they're doing 3,500. It's only a 380 cap.
Which means we
which
would have
is-
to charge them at least 20.
Like I just did a
To make
600
that.
cap room in Sacramento, and I only had to pay $2,000. You know, at $10 a head, that would have been a $6,000 rental. So how are we getting 600 people in the room with security and staff and everything for $2,000 in Sacramento? Then we come here and we're getting less people in the room, but charging them almost $11 a head. That doesn't make sense. Everywhere else we go, we're not paying those prices unless you're doing like 1,000 plus people, because there's a different maintenance that goes into it. But to do that here, it's like if I can only get 380 people in the building, that means I can only charge them so much because it's fewer people. So it's like you're pricing people out to where it's not going to make sense financially for them to do the show. You know,
What's your goal for price per head? For a 200?
for small cap venues, $5 a head, $750 max.
Is there a way to rent it without alcohol?
Yeah, we
You
talked
just
about
cut that part out if you
Yeah.
wanted to?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And use it for merch, or, you know, use the space for some activation or something that you could do, or?
Yeah, the cost of the bar basically covers the staff fee, so the bartenders and the bar backs, and then the cleanup piece of that, but let's keep going.
But that wasn't Stacy. It's different if it's like, well, if you do bar, you don't have to pay staff and this and that because that'll cover it. That wasn't. It was like bar plus staff plus rental plus, you know.
Right.
And I think
But
it's
it's
a
also
sound
like if this is the price for the facility rental, generally when we go to any other venue, the staff is included in that facility rental because there's no. The facility don't operate or exist without. So
Every venue does it differently, the way that they
Right.
write it out, but, what about a deal? Like, you're gonna do how many events?
12.
And you're gonna sell them all out, guaranteed. And
You're asking for 12, a
events,
contract
there
for
should be
12.
a major
Is this part of the residency? I'm sorry.
Yeah. So it'll be every Sunday from January to the end
That's
of March.
huge.
Right,
Huge.
and
Most
that's
Sundays.
kind of what we've been
That-
explaining.
That equates to some kind of nice deal.
every Sunday.
Mhm.
Wow.
Like church.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want this month?
I gotta get,
Every
I gotta buy my
Sunday.
ticket now,
Every
cause I know they're
And
gonna
it's
go
a-
fast.
Yeah, they go fast.
Yeah.
So we're doing a bunch of different South shows. So one time it'll be an orchestra, then the next it'll be a gas, and then the next, and so it'll be different. The choir,
Wow.
it's different forms of shows.
Okay, so for ticketing, I just wanna say, this all goes through you guys.
Mm.
Is there a way to create a VIP ticket for you to supplement your income? Like people who may have the funds and say, I wanna go to every show, or do you wanna discourage that? Like from somebody taking a seat to all 12?
We kind of do that because we have like an artist membership that we do, but we do like we did with Fairgrounds. So for Fairgrounds, we do offer-based ticketing, so anybody can make an offer for whatever amount kind of works with them financially, and we accept or deny. But we also did a VIP tier that was like meet and greet and early entry for a set price as well. So you know, it's not. For me, it's not even about just the profit. It's just about it making sense and being fair. If you can explain to me why something is outrageous, then I'll accept it. But if there's an explanation, then it's like, well,
Right.
how does this make sense if we're going to build? Especially if there's nothing happening. You know, if there's nothing going on anyway that's making it thrive, and we're bringing something that supplements the city. I just feel like it's
Yeah, the most expensive seat is the empty seat,
right.
right, because
And
it's
that was
not
the thing
earning.
with the fairgrounds, was like when they were charging us the rental fee, was like, at least give us a cost breakdown so we can understand and we can feel comfortable paying it. But if
Mhm.
we can't get transparency on a cost breakdown, it just doesn't make
We
any
are-
sense.
Learning in Vallejo, I'm telling you, everywhere we go, we see this and we're trying to help iron it out. And because to be successful fairgrounds, same thing, they need to have a marketing package, you need to explain everything.
Yeah.
I just wanna go to venue and like, you know, straighten them out a little bit, which could be part of this project, this project we're talking about.
Yeah, and have they talked to you about insurance and the level of insurance you need
Yeah.
to carry and all that? Okay.
Yeah, even that is like For venue, typically as an artist, when you go in and do a show in a venue, all of that is covered. You never have to bring your individual, unless you're throwing a festival or something. But when you're doing 300 caps, 600 caps, even 1,000 caps, you know, it's built into the contract with the venue. So having to go get individual insurance for all of these are even new, because we never have to do it anywhere else.
Are those other venues nonprofits of their own operating a venue, or are they owned by the city? Because there's a different setup here. The city owns the building. The nonprofit that operates it is its own standalone organization that has its own financial challenges to keep the venue going. So that all plays into some of this, but what you're recommending is a business development program, which is awesome, and how to make it work for your team, as well as the community, as well as the venue itself. So all those things come into play. So insurance.
It would be nice if insurance was included.
Our underwriters, we've tried for the different venues or the different festivals that we've held here, so that the city would hold the policy and everybody could share the cost. We can't find an underwriter to do it, so. That's gonna be a continuing conversation though, as the insurance market changes, so hopefully.
I think with that in place, like I say, we have to do more I was telling fairgrounds, like, to bring more people in, you have to make it a bit easier for them to come in and do it, especially a lot of people who want to throw their first shows or their first few, you know, and build their local community. If you're not going to provide them with it, then you at least have to provide them with the instruction to do so it doesn't, you know, push them away.
Click here.
Yeah.
That's what I manage through the permitting process for any of the outdoor venues that city-owned property, is I walk you through the permitting process, because it's like signing up for the military. It's a stack of papers. It's like buying a house, you know. It's like, oh, can we make this simpler?
Right.
Right now, simpler is talking to me and letting me deal with that, and you guys just give me the information, and then I make that work. So, okay, cool. I'm liking this vision a lot.
Yeah.
I think this is a
It's a
conversation for our
daytime show
economic
too, right?
development team. Once you tell me more, and then we take it to economic development and the city manager. I needed to have more information about what your intentions were and the size of your vision, because I've only heard bits and pieces.
Yeah,
So this is
So mine is scaling. With Empress, my goal is, like I said, I'm starting with my residency to just get people back acclimated to coming to Empress. Like, when I did my first show at Empress, that was the first time a lot of people been to that theater, and we were all from here. We were talking in the front, like, man, I grew up here, we've never been here. So my shows is like the first time that people are experiencing this theater that's been here forever. So with the residency, it's getting us back acclimated, like, oh, this is something that we could utilize and enjoy as well. And after that, I'm going to start bringing entertainment monthly of my artist friends that are like, that always go to San Francisco or Oakland or Sacramento and pass over Vallejo because they don't think there's any infrastructure here for them to do a show. And that starts to, aid in our economy again. And this is just at the small venue level. So I think if we could start doing more intimate shows there where it's like, we at least have some dates allocated that we can kind of process with ease. It's like, okay, this is the show for the month, that's for ours. That helps, build this community up, because I go look at Empress, schedule, and it's not too many things that's going to bring you outside. So we need to be able to cultivate something where it's like they have something to do. The kids here, we went to Jesse Bethel High and People's High, and after they leave school, there's like nothing for them to do.
I hear ya.
Okay.
And Sundays downtown are just dead.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
And
quiet.
it's gonna bring more
We've tried to
people
do stuff on
restaurants.
Sundays and people just, that's like the family day, they don't show up. But you have to have the right mix.
Yeah.
To encourage
Everything
them.
we do is on Sundays, and it's always packed.
So let's capture that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know, we talked about and chatted about this at our previous meeting, that there's a lot of different ways to activate the Empress. It's not just shows, it's leveraging it for
Workshops.
film.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, what about some movies afterwards?
Yeah,
It just sounds
and
fun.
open
We
mic
have
nights. Open mic nights. We have a lot of really strong filmmakers in the Bay Area, and a lot of them they're similarly hoofing it to other art house theaters when we've got this beautiful venue here. And so it's something we can utilize for that, but it's also like, getting old school movies is pretty cheap, right? And what if it was like, you know, speaking of family, it's like, okay, it's Halloween, let's like show Beetlejuice in the Empress, or, you know, create some activations that are just, to your point, something to do, right?
Yeah,
And
we
something
did
that's kind of
a
fun.
Karen at Alibi, did a film noir. This was packed.
Yeah.
It's like, that's not my thing, but I was encouraged to see that there's an appetite here for this.
Yeah, I'm a film nerd and I couldn't get in because it was already
Especially
sold out.
with like them making all of these remakes or sequels to
Mhm.
like older movies, like they're making a sequel to The Lion King. If they were showing Lion King 1, 2, and 1.5 at
Yeah.
Empress,
Boy,
with that being in the theater, it's
Mhm.
like it recreates these experiences that the city could easily intertwine if it was.
is there any
But I
room on
think-
the board? Just sorry to
Is there what?
room on the board for the Empress, because this would be a great table to be on the board, you know, like. is
You
there
wanna
any
be on
room?
the board of the Empress?
Not me, I'm just wondering if maybe someone from this camp would, because then they could have a
Yes,
sure say.
there's
on
there's
it.
room.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, think about it. They're the ones that make the decisions.
I think it's necessary for it to thrive, because even like I say with pricing, if they're not gonna open the doors unless it makes sense financially, it's not always gonna make sense for, you know, to show movies for the community, because it's like, well, that doesn't make sense based on this pricing structure, but we can't just go off of what makes sense financially if it's thriving the community. Like, those are steps you have to build, and if people don't know it exists, it's like, yeah, the first few shows you'll only get 20 people, and then that turns to 40, then that turns to 8,
Yeah.
and then it turns into thriving business. But if you're not opening doors until it's successful, when you haven't done anything to create that success, it's going to be hard to do that.
I, for one, would, if you haven't talked to the entire board, who are you talking with? Is it Renee and
Darren, that's current.
okay.
Yeah. We've talked to Renee previously, but it's always like just after we get our events booked. I've been booking with Empress since Kevin was there, and,
Okay.
and over the past 3-4 years.
Because Darren's done big stuff in Oakland, so he was
Mhm.
the guy down there. It's like, we're lucky to have him.
Yeah.
Even if it's just part-time. Okay,
If there was a great business structure that was provided by the board or from someone on the board to like, here's an idea of how you could do this, including some of these great ideas, there could be sponsorship money to pay for it. So
Yeah.
like you're saying, it doesn't have to be about the money. It needs to be about the culture, building the community, getting people to know it's there, and all that could be paid for by a sponsor.
has Darren suggested that you guys come and make a presentation to the board? Or is he managing this?
No, he hasn't. Yeah,
Okay.
he's just been kind of mad.
Can I put you guys on the agenda?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think
Yeah.
that'd be really good.
I'm the treasurer.
Yeah.
I know the ins and outs, but I know that the empty seats are killing us.
Yeah.
You know, if we're only open 2 nights a week.
And that's
'Cause
why
that's all
I
we
feel
can
like-
afford right
I feel
now.
like since
gotta
the
get past
seats
that.
are empty, it's like, even if you strike hybrid deals where it's like, make the fee lower and get a percentage of ticketing on the back end. That way you're building with people,
Yeah.
you know, because people are more inclined to help you if you're building with them versus, no, I need $3,500, and it's like, well, how many people do you know that have $3,500? It's like, I'm a successful artist, but you know, communally, a lot of people don't have $3,500 to throw an event, you know. But if they start striking deals with people, then you get to have more events, and it's like, you know, get your percentage of back end, and sometimes you want to take losses on shows, but that builds the community to where, if I drive past the Empress and every time I drive past there I see people outside, that starts to build a different agenda in my head. But if every time I drive past it's empty,
Looks
I think
like a
this is
ghost town.
it's like, well, they're out of business.
Yeah.
Which they are technically, you know, so it's like just you know, especially locally. Locally I feel like we should get the best rate. It should be, let's figure out how we can make this work at the best way.
What's next on your thing?
All right, moving to Mid-Cap, Mare Island.
I'd love to talk about Mare Island. You guys did some tours.
Yeah.
Do you have you seen, is there a little amphitheater in the back of Turo University?
There is.
Have you seen
And
that
you could
one?
do something on Sundays there.
Amphitheater
I
outside.
don't know, I haven't.
You
And
can't
it's
use it on Saturday,
beautiful.
but you can use it on Sunday.
Yeah,
I didn't
because
know
it's a
that.
Jewish
Yeah.
institution, we can't do anything on the Sabbath day. So, the Farragut Inn, which is the old officers club, excuse me,
Have you been up there? Did they
If you
show
look
that
down,
place?
there's an earthen amphitheater. It's a natural amphitheater. The guests would face the water. There's not a stage. There's a flat area where a stage could be constructed. I don't know all the, electrical and what those, logistical challenges would be, but Jackie can certainly,
I find out. I
basically
wanna make
address
a
those.
packet for everywhere you wanna go. I'm gonna just follow up with, here's how this place can run, and start making it available.
For
If we could
every
get a
spot.
list of every spot, because we didn't even know the amphitheater existed. But if we could
Right.
get a list of all
Right.
the spots in Vallejo that could possibly host events.
I've got that. I can send that to you.
Yeah, that would
Yes.
be great.
They're mostly indoor for meetings, but I'll sort it out where these are entertainment zones, right? So,
That'd
Yeah,
be beautiful.
because that allows us to start plotting, like, all the entertainment that we can bring.
Yeah.
Right?
we'd also like,
Where's
everything
Compenny
seems to be
established
focused
around?
downtown.
Yeah.
And I keep hearing this, everything's focused on downtown in Mare Island.
Yeah.
Where the real desire is to bring events to, like the parks, in different sections of town, so folks that are in the neighborhood don't have transportation can walk
Absolutely.
or easily get there by the bus, whatever it is. But to spread out events as well,
Yeah.
so that there's something in every corner of our city versus just down here. And I understand why we do it down here,
We're trying to revive
start.
downtown, it's hard.
but yeah, we need to spread the love. Okay.
But yeah, and I feel like that would be more feasible too, because, I'm not sure like how the chart looks, but I feel like the population downtown is smaller than every other side of Vallejo. It's literally our smallest piece that has a livable community.
It's true.
I think that
Well, it's California, it's the United States, we're all kind of spread out.
if you just got people comfortable with coming outside in general, that would be more ideal, because when you focus it in one zone, it really limits what you can do. But if you're like, I just want to get anybody out in Vallejo that I can, and we have a list of entertainment zones, it becomes,
Have you talked to
Limitless.
GVRD, any of the folks over there?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
Okay,
we've
because
had
they've
a-
got some cool
Mhm.
spots too, right?
Yeah,
Blue Rock Springs, I love that layout because it faces the right way for the sun exposure, so you're not blinded. The weather goes through there, and it's kind of a natural amphitheater as well. They've had a couple of jazz things there.
They have peacocks.
They have
yeah.
I love
peacocks.
peacock parks,
Parking
so
is
cool.
close by at the college. Yeah. Okay. Who should I send the venue list to?
You could send it to the email, Goodcompenny.
I wanna look
Company
at it too and
spelled
just
C-O-M.
see out of the offerings you have, which ones are ready for you, because, we are in a place that doesn't have those packets ready to go, so, so Mare Island Co., they're doing a good job, they're actually renting the waterfront area for a very decent price, they're not really charging because they're trying to get people to come do events there. So, the waterfront property on the coal shed, now it has to be permitted with the city, there are some minor fees, but for the amount of space you get, it's pretty nice. And the location, I was trying to make a list, I think you guys all got copies of the notes I made on the back, cause it's on the third page, I'm sorry, I did not know that was gonna be shared, but, it offers the barriers, some power, and a great location. But I guess I was just trying to bring up the point of cost of doing an event is not cheap, and who's paying for all the operations, setup, promotions, ticket sales, productions of the event. So on a big scale. When it comes to coal sheds, it is nice because it's inexpensive. They're trying to help people have events there. They probably really work with you on that. It's outside, and it's got those amenities of some power, and it's kind of got an enclosure. You don't have to do a whole lot of fencing. Obviously, the Empress is kind of turnkey. But yeah, there was a point that was made in this letter here about paying local people. And that really rings my bell. I want all my employees to live in Vallejo. I'm trying very hard to make it, they all actually live here. I'm trying to work with these kids and show them how to do things and show up for work and have a good time making money, learning how creativity can actually make a paycheck. But it's hard. Its payroll taxes are high. I won't pay under $25 an hour because I don't want to, I want them to be able to earn and then also go higher than that. If they stay there too long, then that holds the company back. I always try to tell them, you need to grow with us because we all want to grow together. So having said all that, you know, putting up something where you can pay everybody, it's hard. I mean, so I don't know, I guess I'm gonna go back to that small business perspective sometimes where, and I know it's not about the money, right? Like, we are trying to build something here. But I just need, you know, it is a tough one. So how do you feel about sponsorship? I know it's not on the list, I'm sorry, I'm gonna kind of go out of the colors, but, are there certain companies you would say yes to and some you would say no to?
Yeah.
You know?
I think sponsorship is great. We just had to put decks together that kind of control ask, you know, because some sponsors feel like if they're putting in money, then they need so much. And I'm big on representation, you know, like we get offers from, I'm big on like, if I don't use the product in real life or truly support what the product is, I try not to,
Right.
you know, put it all up to the world regardless of the amount of money. I'd rather just not have it, but I'm definitely open to sponsors as long as there's people and companies that's aligned with what we're aligned with.
I love that, that's good. So I have to say something that I learned by going to all these meetings. When I come from Oakland, San Francisco, their mayors have a lot more to do with the running of the city than ours does. Our mayor is an extension of a city council member, is kind of what I've learned.
Yeah.
They are not,
I'd say that.
they're not directing, they're part of a team that directs. Your city manager, he has the salary and he has the ability to make changes in the city. I think being educated on how the city runs is a huge thing that I didn't realize. Am I right in that, Shelley? Could you
You're right.
help me with that?
Yeah, that's what
That
the
some
candidates are telling
cities
us
have
as well.
mayors, a dog is the mayor of Port Costa. It's a dog. And so
No.
there are some cities that are, no, I'm just saying, where their position doesn't really, no, four-legged, but they don't do what we think city, mayors
yeah.
do. And so what I think is educating to vote, number one, because we vote in a mayor and we vote in our city council. Those are the only things we can decide. When it comes to hiring the city manager, we have nothing to do with that, right? And he is brand new, am I right? So it's voting in the people, and then they divided us all by district now. So if I live in District 4, I have nothing to do with District 5, I can't vote for that area, I can't vote for District 1, 2, or 4, or 5. So it's like, we have to be educated. So I started this little thing called Learn to Vote, you know, basically just to talk about it and get some kids excited. I found out if I keep doing this, they're gonna start showing up.
You know, that's really great, because I do feel like people, well, I don't know what the hell I'm voting for. I don't know what any of the
How
of the
many
things
signs
mean.
did you see?
Yeah.
Who had the bigger name? I mean, that's what most
Right.
people go by if they vote.
Yeah.
Here's a news weight, 120,000 people they say live here. Do you know how many vote? 12,000.
Yep.
Yep.
That makes sense.
So it only takes like a handful of votes to turn an election.
So we have no say.
That
And
makes
We're being
sense.
But
led
it's
by
timing
But
everything.
it's also, that's because they're not excited about who they're voting for.
Right, they don't see it.
Which is
I
why it's
get
like,
it.
even though the mayor's role is minimal in terms of like change, the role, a great leader
It's
is
face.
pivotal in terms of morale and just
Yes.
where you feel like you're headed as a
Yes.
city.
Yes.
You know, so that is the part that I'm talking about. Like, if we don't feel excited and good about that, regardless of how deuce the role is, that just sets us up for, you know, it's like going home to parents that are not great parents, and it's like, I don't even want to be here.
I
You
feel
know,
you. I
it
feel
creates that environment. So just like I said,
In the last
building.
election, there was a gentleman that was running that a lot of us were behind because he kind of broadcast like a new generation here. And then right before election, some bad stuff came out about him, and everybody swayed to this other guy. Like, phew, it gives me goosebumps because now we're with this guy. We've had him for 4 years, and we're all like, you know, the parents, you don't want to. We wish it was the other way, you know.